Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play cast brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, as always, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man, and this is episode 364. We're recording live in front of our studio audience on November 13th, 2020. The year is almost over, mercifully, but who knows if 2021 will shape up to be any better. We've got a couple weird news stories that I think are kind of, why are you doing that now? And wait, you're going to shut down, but not really. Then we got a few games this week that are doing updates, big updates. We'll talk about those, and a little bit of financials, and we'll throw in a first look review there, even though Troy isn't here to talk about it with us. Joining me to go over all of it, you know him, you love him, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
In the pre-show, I talked about what I had for breakfast, what I had for lunch, and I want everyone to know I'm planning to have pizza for dinner tonight.
Oh.
So, the whole menu.
Also on the line, Wilfredo Rivera. What's up, sir?
How's it going? Just so you also know, Jason rubs his legs together in order for him to find a mate. This is something else we talked about during the pre-show.
You really got to be here for the pre-show.
Yeah, you got to do the pre and post shows. I mean, that's been a long-standing tradition when we do stuff live. Jason, that started at Game Breaker, wasn't it? Like the pre and the post shows.
Well, the pre-show was like half an hour back then.
Yeah, the pre-show was long back then sometimes.
Pre-show was longer than the show.
Yeah, a lot of times it was. But yeah, we've got a lot to cover, and Ninja, I think I figured out what you're talking about, being if you see streamer and viewer bounties. We're playing Destiny 2 on stream this week from the Xbox Series X. We'll be doing it right after this show. You probably have the plugin showing up so that you can it's integrated, the extension or whatever. So if you get that,
I had that when you were playing, but I don't have it now on the stream.
Yeah, I don't have it now on the stream either. So let's get to it and slide over and get started with the news. All right, what do we got first? Let's go through some kind of weird ones for me. One or two of them I think you'll agree is weird. One just seems weird to me, and we brought Jason on to tell me if this is actually weird to be doing this kind of stuff at this point in the game's development. But let's get started first with Epic Games and Fortnite. And no, we're not talking about their lawsuits, although Apple's claim of theft was dismissed in the news. We're talking more about Epic Games, Jason, thinking that, you know what? Maybe Fortnite could use something. Maybe it's missing a little something, a little panache, a little extra. And you know what? Maybe we should offer that by way of a subscription fee for a battle royale. Now, there's no knowing right now if they'll actually implement this. The way they're going about doing some research here, they have done this research method on other things that didn't end up being put in the game, like an annual pass and things like that. So this is not confirmation that it's getting a sub, but they are testing the waters, Mr. Winter.
I like how you start this off by saying, we have some weird stuff to talk about. So we brought on Jason, because apparently I'm the expert in weird, which, you're probably right on that. But yeah, so what they're talking about here are some surveys that are going out to various players, and with some guy on Twitter called Fire Monkey apparently broke the news on this, big news. I said that they're talking about, the survey says, based on this info presented above, which is like an image of all sorts of different loot and so forth, some skins, some currency and so forth. What do you believe has been presented in this? What is all the stuff you do see here? And what would you want to pay for this? I believe is one of the other questions on it. Is that there, or where did he get?
Yeah, and they kind of put that in a $15.99 or possibly $18.99 range. Okay. Either way, above what we would normally consider a sub to be at about $15.
Yeah, so like I said, it's a survey they're kind of putting out there, asking fans if they think they'd be interested in paying that for this on a monthly basis for whatever package of loot they would offer. And I don't know, it's interesting, but to me it just seems like a package of stuff. It's like I'll take an example, something like the Eververse, for instance, where there's stuff that's on sale for a limited time. You can buy it. If you don't buy it, it goes away, or it'll come back later, or whatever. And that's really all that is to me, is just limited time loot you can buy, as opposed to having to earn it in game or buy a loot box, or whatever. So maybe not that amazing, but a little weird that they'd offer this. in addition to all the other stuff they do already, that let you buy, as well as season pass and so forth.
Right, and
So,
that's kind of the big question I personally hit when I was reading this and looking into it, Wilfredo, is I already, and I don't think I'm alone on this, please tell me, I already view season passes as kind of a sub for those games that I don't sub to. Like I sub to Final Fantasy 14, I sub to World of Warcraft, I play PSO2. Well, I can get some perks and some stuff like that. And if I want to throw some money at them because it is a free-to-play game and I want to support the development and stuff, I kind of view, you know what? To be fair, they have a sub and a season pass working a little bit differently, so maybe a bad example with PSO2. But I always kind of looked at Rocket League, right? You know what? I'll throw a few bucks at them and buy this season pass. I'll sub up for this season. I've always kind of viewed it that way, and I think a lot of people view the season pass as an optional sub in a game where there is no actual optional sub. But I also think there's a big difference between doing it in something like an MMO RPG, whereas there's this constant deluge of content, provided it's being developed intelligently, versus doing that in a battle royale. Like I don't play a lot of Fortnite, but I do play a lot of Rocket League, and I'm like, wait a minute, if they put a sub in there, I already give them money for the season pass. Like it just seems slimy and kind of I don't know. What do you think, Wilfredo? Am I nuts here?
No, you're talking about. Oh man, there's a company. What was it called? Electronic Arts. You tried doing something.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, I look at this and I'm like, no, it's not happening. I would never drop a dime for Fortnite sub. Sorry, it's not happening. You're right. When it comes to the season passes, if you're dropping money for that, there's no reason why you would need a subscription on top of it. I get it. Epic is probably hemorrhaging money right now because of that stupid court case. But this is a bad idea. I really wish that they would understand they made their fortune off of being free to play and being able to have season passes if you want to drop some money into it.
In addition to a myriad of cosmetics and things like that.
That's the other thing too. It's something that we'll talk about later on with PSO. But when you're doing massive crossovers with Marvel, DC, John Wick, come on, John Wick,
the NFL,
it's insane. So this is a bad idea. And on top of that, $15.99 to $18.99 for a sub, bruh. Look, I'm not even a fan of the sub concept, but WoW does it at $15. SWTOR does it at $15. Every game that primarily has a sub or some like optional like ESO Plus is $15. No one's gonna spend more for less. Get out of here. You're crazy.
Jason, we're looking at the questions that they asked and like, what do you think would be included? I mean, it's got to include the battle pass, right? I don't think anybody filling out this survey says, oh yeah, I'd be fine if the current season's battle pass was not in my sub.
That's the other interesting part of this. That survey might mean that we're not going to give you all of this for your $18. What do you think you need to have?
Right, and the question's worded exactly down that path. Based on what is presented above, please select what you believe is included in this monthly subscription, not what do you think should be. Tell us what you believe we've already put in this package that we've kind of determined. Now, here's the thing. Like, I get it, right? Seasons aren't typically 1 month long. A subscription is typically a 1 month subscription. So, right, I might throw $10 at Rocket League season pass to use that example, but then they're only getting that $10 from me every 90 days in their case. So 70 to 90 days, whatever it is. And where a monthly sub, again, now they get 3 of those in the time that they would normally only get the $10 from me. So yeah, I get what they're trying to do here and increase revenues and stuff. But man, I don't like this. I don't like if Rocket League did this, and so I'm not gonna like it if Fortnite did it, even though I don't play Fortnite. And the worst thing for me is that the game is so big that if they do it, it will make money. I mean, the audience is just too big for it not to, or too big for there to be any significant boycott of this feature. And then smaller companies start seeing what bigger companies are doing and making money off of, and the trickle down into other games starts happening.
Mhm.
It's just like over monetization of a free-to-play game, in my view, at this point, Jason.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I hope it doesn't work out. I hope they don't implement this. And for what it's worth, this is not the first time they've tossed out a kind of regular fee sort of thing. They talked about
Yeah,
last year.
I led with this. They tried
Yeah.
an annual pass via this kind of research and didn't end up doing it. So they may not do this, but who knows?
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm with you. I hope they don't, because I agree. This is the sort of thing that could come to other games as well. And it's like it's almost like double or even triple dipping once you figure you got cash shop items, you got battle pass, and now you have a subscription. So and then some games will have loot boxes too, so it'll be like four quadruple dipping or
Yeah,
whatever.
depending
So
on the game.
yeah, it's just
Kind of
actually they do
messy.
technically have. I mean, they have lava, so technically they do have loot boxes. I don't know exactly how those work, but yeah.
Yeah, but they changed the way that you can't get them through the cash purchases anymore.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Okay.
They changed that. All
Because they're
right.
not EA. Wait until that monthly sub for FIFA Ultimate Team comes along.
Oh yay!
Hey, by the way, let's get a little update. Speaking of battle royales, how you doing in Apex Legends there, Wilfredo?
5 kills.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
It only took you 35 matches. All right.
Yeah, I'm up there. I'm almost at double digits.
107 Apex Legends.
Mozambique?
After the free-to-play cast last week, when Wilfredo had 0, he tweeted at Jason and I with a screenshot of his first Apex Legends kill. Was tremendous. You don't want to know how many deaths, Min. I'm sure Min probably knows. I think you play games with Min, so.
We haven't played this one yet, but I will say it without any shame or fear. 37.
So 5 and 37. That is not as good as my foray into Battlefield 1's
I was just
team
gonna
deathmatch.
just gonna bring that up.
If you're not watching stuff on Ready Check Radio, I mean, please do. It's not affiliated with MMO Bomb, but there's a lot of us that do stuff there too. And Jason picked. I let viewers pick what we were going to play on Game Pass the other night on stream, and he took Battlefield 1, of which I knew about and knew the premise, but had never played. And he would not let me shut it off until I played one team deathmatch. I was a .33 KDR. A .33 KDR.
Losers Club.
Speaking of shooters, though, Wilfredo, did you ever play Darwin Project? I remember doing the first look for this way back when. This was like the battle royale where one person was able to like be the host and change the map or things that were happening on the map. They built in Twitch integration so that host could kind of have their Twitch chat vote on things that they were going to do in the games. There were some neat things going on. Other games have done similar items, but Darwin put it together in what I thought at the time was a neat package. I didn't like some, and was not alone in the big changes for the way they handled classes from beta into what their launch was. But had you ever played this game on PC or PS4?
No, I looked into it for a good long while. I was like, wow, this seems kind of interesting. And then I slowly just lost interest. There was just something about the game that just made me go, I'll just watch, see if there are any improvements. I was watching somebody playing an open beta, and then when they went over the closed beta or full launch, I saw that there was a change the way how they were, as you were mentioning, doing their classes, and I was like, I don't like the way how that went. What happened? And I'm still kind of like that.
Yeah, well, you weren't the only one. Because back in May, we reported that the game was basically shutting down. They were going into a maintenance mode where they weren't going to do any development or bug fixing or anything, Jason. And the only thing they said then was that the servers will be live through at least the end of the year. So it was pretty much a shutdown notice. But that kind of changed. Like, it's still shutting down, but not fully shutting down with this week's news.
Yeah, they're going to keep 2 servers up, one in Europe and one in Eastern U.S. So you can still play there after January 5th is when that's going to happen. Everything else will shut down, so you'll have those 2 servers to still play on. So, yay, I guess.
It does come with the caveat that they express over and over and over again in the FAQ that we are not doing development on this anymore. We're not even fixing bugs. That is the same. If you exploit bugs, that's considered cheating. That's all they say in the FAQ. Not that you'll be punished or anything, because nobody's managing the damn thing anymore. But they're just like, if you exploit bugs, that's cheating. Oh, by the way, our Discord, we're not going to do any official communication through there anymore, but we'll leave it on so that players can matchmake and hang out and stuff like that. Toxic behavior and stuff like that you really shouldn't do. We're better than that. You know, we all need to come together. But they lead you to believe we're not gonna. Don't bother reporting anybody, you know. So there's gonna be 2 servers online until who knows when. The other ones shut off January 5th, and welcome to the Wild West, boys. Right? It's just the Wild West of battle royales, Wilfredo. Go and do whatever the hell you want.
This sounds like a really bad teen movie where the parents just don't care anymore, and they're like, "All right, look." If you get caught cheating, you get caught cheating. Don't cheat. Don't exploit the system. By the way, we're not going to leave you any money for anything, so you're going to have to fend for yourself. If you burn the house down, that's on you, and don't call us for help because we're going to go out and go to dinner. This is awful. This is just bad.
I liked some of the things the game was doing. We did have some fun with it on Twitch a little bit, but yeah, it was very short-lived. So the last weird piece that I brought Jason on, and this isn't like weird news in and of itself. I just have a question on Jason. Is this weird given when they're doing it? So Lord of the Rings Online, they have that monster play. That's their version of PvP, right? Where one player takes on the role of a monster in the game, and then all the other players are their characters, and there's a PvP battle between monster, and very evolve of them. Although Lord of the Rings was there first.
It's not single player; it's just a zone. Some of the players are monsters, some of them are players. So.
But so here's the thing: they're testing like pretty wide scale changes to this system now, right? And what will come to life and what won't, we don't know. According to the post on the game forums, the upcoming update is going to fix some of the long-standing PvP woes. Including how monster player stats work behind the scenes. Bullet points in the presentation addressing power creep. A multiplier to base HP and damage, tweaking base rating values, having them start with better rankings, also bumps some of the monsters' weaker skills and updates regen resources. Like, this is a kind of a bigger overhaul to the monsters side of this. And while that's great, that's not weird news in and of itself. My question is, Jason, really? 2020. This is when we know that there's another Lord of the Rings Online MMO coming out at some point from Athlon Games and partnership with Amazon, when this game is extremely long in the tooth, even if there wasn't going to be competition coming. This is when you address these types of things that seemed like to me the types of things that get fixed in the first 3 or 4 patches after you introduce the feature.
You know, when I looked at the forum post, I had to check the date on it to make sure it actually said 2020 and not like 2010, because they've been talking about balancing, monster play and making the stats. For trust me, I've been there. I used to play this a lot, and there were a lot of complaints back when I actually looked at the forums almost every day. Yeah, they did do something a long time ago to make it a little more equitable, because it used to be kind of like they tried to make it kind of like a horde mode where there'd be a lot of monster players and somewhat fewer free people player. By the way, the terminology, so we're aware, free peoples, of course, is like the good guys of Middle Earth. That's the players. They're called freeps, and then creeps are the monsters. So freeps versus creeps.
Hence why creeps is capitalized in our piece.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it used to be the creeps were pretty underpowered compared to the freeps, so they boosted them and have done all sorts of tweaks all around. And just reading this now and saying, making them advance more consistently with player stats when you level bump or generally restart the game, I'm like, haven't you been doing that for years, or haven't you been trying to do that for years? So give creeps incremental rating bumps to keep the pace with player itemization.
I just thought it was weird.
Weren't you doing that?
Yeah, exactly. I just thought it was weird. Like, these large scale, I would have expected this like the 6 months after Monster Play was.
Oh, you gave them way too much credit. It was at least 2 or 3 years.
No.
It was at least 2 or 3 before they made it even remotely equitable.
Right. I'm saying that these are the types of changes that I would expect in the first 6 months. Not that they did them or anything. I'm not giving them credit for anything. I'm saying this should have been back then.
It was their vision that creeps would be underpowered, because we look at movies. Aragorn fights off 20 orcs or whatever. Okay, right. That was their notion of how it should be. But it didn't work out that way. I mean, it did work out that way, and the creeps were underpowered.
Yeah, it turns out nobody likes playing the creeps when that happens.
Yeah,
when
no,
you're just
no
getting
kidding.
mowed down.
So yeah, but so it did take like 2 or 3 years for them to finally make that part of it equitable. But the fact that they're still like, we still have to make it equitable is like, really? Are you sure this wasn't 2010 you wrote this post?
Right.
So.
Okay, so I'm not out of my mind. It was an odd thing for them to be doing at this point. All right. Wilfredo, I assume you don't really have much on this one. We can just keep going.
All I can say is 2020, the year where you make like a hot dog and catch up. That's probably confusing. Exactly.
I don't think I could have. I don't think I could have mustered any more interest in that comment.
I'm not relishing these puns.
Oh.
And we do the trifecta. We come all the way around. Everybody gets one. All right.
Yeah, this is pretty bad because this isn't the first game this year that decided, hey, we're gonna put some stuff in here that needed to be in here before. I'm looking at Hearthstone. I'm looking at Path of Exile. This is the year of make like a hot dog and catch up.
And all the other games are we're all to be on Steam now. All these old games, like really.
You're right, man. Come for the information, stay for the puns.
Or leave for the puns into a queue, apparently.
Make like a tree and leaf. All right, so we do have a lot of updates to games this week. It was kind of a big week for some bigger titles. Destiny 2, obviously, we'll start with that. That's kind of the biggest, being the full expansion launch of Beyond Light. For those of you that haven't had a chance to check it out, whether you've ever played Destiny 2 before or you're thinking about returning, might want to stick around after this stream and catch some streams from the last 2 days, and we'll be doing some next week as well. We've booted up Destiny 2 Beyond Light on the Xbox Series X, so we're playing it on that, and we've booted that up as an entirely new player. So it's not linked to my PC or PS4 account with my high-level or high-power characters on there. It's totally new. We're doing the Cosmodrome training, the strikes, all the fun stuff. So if you want to check it out from that angle, like if I jumped in right now as a brand new player, what would this be like? Come on over. Stick around after this stream, of course. And if you're watching this on YouTube, head on over to twitch.tv/MMOBomb Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern for free-to-play streams, of which we'll be doing Destiny 2 for a little bit, mixing some other stuff in there. But Beyond Light did launch. So now the stasis effects, or the darkness, if you will, is open for Guardians to be using as a new power source. We've got the whole new storyline going through Europa. The vaulting has started with some content being vaulted, and maybe will come back out later. We see the return of the Cosmodrome. We get new forms or what are they called? Arc, Solar, and Void. What are those called? It's escaping me for the moment.
Elemental shooty stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Your build, basically. So now the Warlock picks up Shadebinder, the Titan picks up Behemoth, and the Hunter picks up Revenant. We're playing a Hunter just because it's the one I have the most experience with, so that we didn't have to learn that stuff while we're streaming, since that's my main. Having a lot of fun with it. I gotta say, by the way, on the Xbox Series X, runs like smooth as butter. Smooth as butter. The load times are very, very quick. The only delay that we're seeing is in matchmaking, which is obviously there's nothing an SSD is going to do about that. You got to find players to jump into a match together. So kind of talking about the update itself and playing it on the Xbox, where I'm very much enjoying it. But Jason, as somebody who played, enjoyed it, but lapsed a little bit, does Beyond Light bring you back in, at least for, a month or so?
No. I think the main reason for that is the vaulting of the old content, stuff that I was still doing, still working on at some level, and seeing all that's gone now is not giving me any interest in wanting to come back. Plus, knowing that, again, since I was someone I never bought an expansion. I just got the Battle Pass like once. Seeing all that stuff being there and going, well, I have to pay $50 probably to get into all this, so it's only barely a free-to-play game at this point, it feels like to me.
The caveat I should put out there, since Jason brought it up, buying the expansions and things like that, the caveat I should put on our play is, I guess it's not totally from a free-to-play player's perspective, because I'm playing it through Game Pass. So Xbox Game Pass, which does give me access to those expansions. But I have a great feeling that many of you on Xbox or PC may also be playing it through there. So As far as somebody in chat asked about download size, it depends on your platform. It's going to be anywhere between about 60 gigs and 70 gigs, depending on what platform. Honestly, I didn't look at the exact size on the Xbox specifically, so 50 to 70 gigs. Wilfredo, are you Destiny 2 fella?
I was for a little bit. I mentioned before the show, I was bringing a shovel. Here's for that shovel. So I genuinely enjoy the Destiny universe. I think it's a great like setup for just getting into the sci-fi aspect of things. I hate this game. I really do. And the only reason why is because when I jumped into Destiny 2, it was when they went free to play. And they get you through the tutorial, all the training, and then it took me back to my first time playing Morrowind, where it's like, bloop, here you are, go do a thing. And on top of that, the community isn't all that great. It's kind of toxic. Because the second you step into an area where there's like a full-on free fight, get out of the way! Oh, where are you trying to get me killed? It's a game. It's a game. It's a game. It's a game. It's okay. I'll get out of your way. Maybe I'll come back.
It is definitely better with friends. It's and all games are, of course, but Destiny 2 is one of those that is absolutely better with friends. And I will tell you, you do bring up a point, and Jason and I talked about this when it went free to play, that the tutorial wasn't all that great if you were brand new. There was a little mission that got you through the basic controls. We didn't have a gripe with that. Our gripe was, Jason was constantly having to ask me, having played, what do I do with this, or where do I go for this, or what the hell is this, on core game functions like strikes and crucibles and gambit and things. Because as soon as it took you to the tower in that tutorial, you're right. It was just like, okay, the world is yours now. Go do what you want to do. On that front, that has changed with Beyond Light. There is still the initial tutorial mission that teaches you the controls and shooting and stuff like that. But once you get out of that, you are not thrown into the tower yet. You are put on the Cosmodrome, and you get a small flavor experience of meeting NPCs on the planet, getting quests from them, going to do them, coming back, maybe going and doing a fallen sector or 2 or 3 or stuff like that. Then it takes you to the tower and does a more guided walkthrough where you go talk to Zavala. And Zavala, this is all in a quest line. So in that first quest line, talk to Zavala, learn about strikes, go do an example strike. Come on back. Okay, go talk to Ikora. Now go talk to this. Go talk to Lord Shax. So it is a bit more guided. Now, it does not put quests in there. Like the strike is mandatory as that in that quest line. You gotta go do the strike to move the flashpoint, whatever, to advance the quest line. It doesn't make you queue up for a Crucible match, assuming that not all players are going to be interested in PvP, which I thought was smart design on their part. That if you don't want to do PvP, it's not going to make you do a match as part of this quest line. I think it's a lot better designed on that front for a brand new player. Changes that we saw before Beyond Light made managing your quests in your menus easier too. So I think they have learned a lot of lessons based on player feedback from free-to-play launch to Beyond Light. New story, new content, and new builds, that's all awesome and great stuff. But this was where I was really focusing as a free-to-play player, brand new player. What is this experience like? And I think there's still improvements to be made, but I think they are doing a lot better on that, Jason.
Yeah, that is something that took them a while to figure out. They definitely kind of dropped the ball on that, I think, early on. And maybe because they also were, at that time, were doing the separation from Activision, from Blizzard Activision. So they had that going on at the same time. So trying to work that out and whatever. Did they have a new expansion around that time, too? Was that Shadowkeep?
Yeah, Shadowkeep.
Yeah, so they had a new expansion. They had the split from Blizzard Activision. They had the free-to-play. They knew that they were going to bring in new people, so they probably had something, I don't know how different the new player experience was from that. So they had a lot going on late last year when they did all the free-to-play stuff, and it was a little muddled. They've maybe taken a better stance at it now, having a whole year to figure it out.
Wilfredo, where I think it still fails, and although they have acknowledged that this is somewhere they're going to be making changes, I just haven't seen any yet, is that Destiny is very much capitalizing still on that whole fear of missing out. whether it be different cosmetics or ships or ghost shells or anything, particularly in the season pass. While their season pass is run-of-the-mill, here's the free bar, here's the not free bar, the time to go through the season pass can take quite a bit based on how much you play, and there is a big fear of missing out stuff. So I don't like that. Like, oh, I feel like I got to play this if I want to get that thing because I got to get X amount of experience to get there. They are going to be making tweaks on that, so that's good. We just don't know what kind of tweaks yet. But it sounds like even a new expansion, new powers that we've never seen before, and a new storyline, it doesn't sound like either of you are coming in. Jason, you already said no. Wilfredo, is there anything they can do to get you back at this point?
Them? No, it's more on me. If I can find the guys who I'm supposed to be playing with, we can jump in, then maybe I'll jump in and take a look at it. Maybe I'll go ahead and buy that expansion. But as of right now, Destiny can sit in my I used to play bin.
That's kind of sad. I mean, I'm surprised by that it's not even something, Jason, you'll jump into for a little bit, but
well, because I'd have to reinstall it and take up 100 gig or whatever on my hard drive. So it's like, no thanks.
In other big update news this week, another big title doing a lot of money behind the scenes. Genshin Impact did have its version 1.1 update. Now, remember, this is not the update that most people are probably waiting for. That comes in December, where you get new areas and things like that added to the map and new storyline, or the storyline continuing. This is more an event-oriented one with a lot of quality of life improvements. There are some new things implemented in this, like the reputation system, where you can gain rep with the 2 different major cities that you have access to now. There are improvements. Q was talking to me about some of the things she really liked about the reputation system, that yes, it's a grinding type system. It's a rep system. That's what it does. But that it also was able to point out maybe things she hadn't done or didn't even think to go to this place on the map because there had been nothing else visually there that might have sent her in that direction to explore. So she has liked that aspect of it. Lots of quality of life improvements in this one. Already available for you. Came out 2 days ago. But yeah, I stopped playing Genshin Impact personally. There's just so many things that I don't have the time for. I grind in enough things. I don't have time to grind in this one. But Wilfredo, is this one still kicking for you?
Kind of fallen back because of Apex and Path of Exile, I'm not gonna lie. But it's good to know that I'm making sure I stay updated. So the quality of life update was actually pretty nice to have. They still need to figure out that controller scheme thing, man, because I hate having to remap my controller.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, this game just keeps kicking it, right? It just keeps kicking the can uphill to say, hey, we're just going to keep making this money. I don't know how, I don't know why, who cast what spell on what deity, but I'm not going to argue with it. This is a top tier game that they just said, here, play. So, yeah.
And you can never argue, Jason, with 4 new characters being added, right? I mean, that's always, even if there's no new zones to explore, new characters to do it with, hey, let's level them up before we get back to the story. That stuff's good, too. MiHoYo did toss out 600 Primo Gems to players as compensation for some issues that they discovered in there. So gets you on your way to a full pool of wishes, if you so desire, on that side of things. All in all, not the update people are waiting for, Jason, but it should tide you over. Like, the game came out a little over a month ago. This update comes in, and then next month you get another update. So it seems like Genshin's on a nice little development clip here. Now, how long they can keep it up, that's anybody's guess.
New characters, new content. No, look, the part that really matters in this is here. It says, the new archive makes it easier to sort through equipment materials and even all those books we just keep acquiring. If they improved inventory management, that's the big news here. There we go. This gets a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, there are a substantial, we kind of lump them all together as just quality of life improvements. But yeah, inventory management was definitely given some love on this one too. On the same kind of games and updates, PSO2 getting its update, and this is no surprise. We've been getting updates on this like every 2 weeks, basically, whether it just be a couple new urgent quests or whether it be a full-blown new episode. Right now, we have the close of the Halloween event and the start of the Thanksgiving festivities, so do your quests from the marketplace so that you can see, this is such a ridiculous skin. Such a ridiculous skin. That you can get a big turkey leg skin for any weapon. It works for any weapon type. So make sure you do your quests. You'll be able to gather Thanksgiving badges, 2020 Thanksgiving badges. And then, yeah, we have some new urgent quests as well. The other big news on this one, and they're not in the game yet, Wilfredo, but you teased it earlier, are some more collaborations or crossover events. Kind of a big one. You know, we already saw Sword Art Online. Now we're going to see Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue come into the fray here.
This is awesome. This is so awesome. I cannot wait to see this. I want to see. I don't know if they're doing skins, if they're doing weapon types, if they're doing, themes for like entire areas. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm psyched because I'm a huge Guilty Gear fan. And if they drop Axel or Soul's weapons, I'm totally going for them. And beating somebody down with a turkey leg is not necessarily the worst thing you could do to a person. Just saying.
Oh my. Oh, I can't say anything. I started my quests.
Exactly.
Tons of costumes. Now, as you guys know, with the crossover events, those are all through AC scratchers in most of those things. So there is that element of it's random, loot box mentality, and you got to buy them with AC, which is cash. So I don't really jump into most of these AC scratch ticket collaborations. In fact, I don't think... I think the only time I ever bought AC scratch cards at all was when I just had AC left over from how much I bought to maintain a sub for the first few months of the game. So you got to be into that and spending some money on those to get these types of things. That event starts on November 18th and it will run for almost a month through December 15th. Finally, Dauntless, Jason. We've mentioned Hearthstone. We've mentioned Path of Exile. It looks like now Dauntless is going to be reworking its entire thought about progression and how that works in that game. These are welcome thoughts for any game to have, I think, constantly evaluating the way you level up or progress through a game or gear up. And we're seeing some from the Dauntless team and their upcoming rework and roadmap.
Yeah. Jesse Houston. Actually, was it Jesse Houston who wrote this? No, he did the state of the.
No, it was Jesse.
What's the other thing? Was it Jesse? Okay,
yeah.
Anyway.
It was a letter from the CEO, so
okay,
that would be
enough.
Jesse.
So yeah, he wrote about, and I'm honestly not so into Dauntless that I get what every intricate detail means here, but just seeing all the different things they're talking about, removing all weapon armor upgrades and +1 to 15. After the patch, only for craft initial piece of gear, and then at end game you will power surge, which sounds amazing. Any weapon or piece of armor by using an Aether Heart, which also sounds awesome, to advance. So yeah, to gain an Aether Heart, you have to reforge your weapon armor class.
I don't know what you're doing, but I love the naming. I love the naming.
I mean, it sounds like it's all very very intricate, requiring a lot of different work and a lot of different changes to how things are done. So yeah, I imagine they'll give me the more in-depth look later on because they've been really good about doing that. But yeah, to make changes to this degree is pretty substantial. It must be something they really felt they needed.
Well, you and I did have our thoughts way back when it was a preview and then a first look, and dabbled in it a little more recently.
Yeah.
Personally, I did on the PlayStation 4 a few months ago. And I've always, I don't know what it is, Wilfredo. It just, I know the comparison is it's the free-to-play Monster Hunter, but it just never grabbed me any of the times I've tried it like Monster Hunter does. And I couldn't actually put my finger on what the difference is between the two. And set aside the presentation being graphically a totally different style. I'm not talking about stuff like that. I'm talking about the gameplay loop in the game. It's so similar to Monster Hunter, but I'm just every time I play Dauntless, I kind of go, yeah, I should just go play Monster Hunter.
Yeah, it's very much like someone saying, hey, do you want to go get Starbucks or do you want to go get coffee? Here's the thing. I thought Dauntless was awesome, but I kept getting the vibe of I should go play Monster Hunter because I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but it feels like the monsters that you're fighting in this game seem a little bland. They're just kind of like, yeah, I'm here, attack me. Versus when you're fighting, a Rathlos, you can see that there's a bit of character and personality behind this thing. Not to mention that you've got a whole bunch of story coming at you while you're playing it. But Dauntless, I think, is a great game. But that was part of the reason why I stopped playing it, is because the progression was crap. I was running around with still like tier 1 gear trying to fight off higher level monsters. It's just not working out. But now they're making these changes. Maybe I'll give it a looky-loo again, see how it is.
I
see if
agree.
they've made some
I'm one of
changes.
those too that, Jason, I want to see what they do here, because this was a very high level discussion. Like, we don't know exact details of what's going to change, like to the level that we got for Hearthstone, 2 weeks ago on here's exactly how this is going to work. I do think, I agree with you, Wilfredo, that there's an element of, I didn't feel like I was getting stronger and necessarily as much as I would have liked to have felt when I equip that next set or I rank up the set or anything like that. So maybe this will do it for me. Maybe it will do it for me. I'm definitely interested. Solid game. We've loved it since day one, but it's just never quite, I guess, dug its behemoth claws into me, Jason.
Yeah, same here. It's like, I've never played Monster Hunter, but just watching people play it, that seems like more of a full game, like with RPG elements and everything. Whereas Dauntless
Yeah.
just seems like, do a battle, go back to the city, get stuff. Do a battle, go back to the city, get stuff. Whereas it just seems like a little bit of a thinner experience there.
So all the other updates we talked about are launched or coming. This one is probably a little further off, but we did want to put it on everybody's radar. Before we finish up and head over to the weekly bombs, we do have some financials to look at. Normally, we get them at both the same time or close enough to the same time that we can do them both on the cast. NCSoft has not put their financials out yet, so we can't do those.
Damn you, NCSoft.
Yeah, we'll put them on a future show, I guess. But Nexon did put theirs out, and hey, guess what? Best quarter ever!
Best Q3 ever.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, yeah, it wasn't like the best quarter ever because they did come down quite a bit from actually they came up from Q2, but I guess Q1 was so huge for them that they couldn't quite go off about this. But it was their best Q3. Thanks to your favorite game, V4.
I am surprised but not surprised. I just know the audience for auto players is very, very big, particularly overseas. But still here in the West, just not as big as in a Korea or things like that. I just personally, I'm not an auto player. I can't. To me, that's well, there's no point then. There's no point. But it's hard to deny, and I even said this in the first look, there is an audience for this type of game. It is beautiful graphically. There's a lot of love put into that aspect of the game. So I was surprised, but not surprised when I saw that, Jason.
Yeah. So it's doing well. Another game that they've brought up recently, the Kingdom of the Winds Yeon, which is apparently an updated version of an MMO that came out in 1996. So talk about getting remakes and remasters. This is the newer version of that. So that's been doing very well for them. But Dungeon and Fighter did not do so well for them because they missed an update they were going to do. So they're actually kind of down, and they're down considerably in China. Usually it's been about a 50-50 between Korea and China, with the rest of the world getting a little bit. But this quarter, 64% of their revenue came from Korea and only 20% from China. So that's when they're probably looking to shore up in Q4.
Well, at least they seem to know where it came from, Wilfredo. They're like, we need that update that was planned to go live. So I assume that they're looking for a better fourth quarter than third quarter in China, barring something going wrong and that update does not get pushed.
Yeah, that would be to be expected, I guess, because if you think about it, holiday season, plenty of people coming out to play video games, new games are dropping, new consoles are dropping. This is going to be one of those things, seeing as though China doesn't allow consoles, this is going to be one of those things that I guess Chinese players are going to want. They want to see that update for Dungeon Fighter, which is surprising that that's still thriving. I'm impressed. But yeah, I think this quarter will probably do better for them. Honestly, it's not something I'm interested in, but money's money. And if the money talks, they're going to keep putting out the content that people are going to want to play.
To be clear, by the way, you had mentioned consoles being banned in China. That was the case for a very, very long time. It is not anymore. That changed like back, I forget what it was, Jason, like 2015 or so like that.
I don't
And
remember.
they're kind of really expected to start kicking
Back when
out.
Snail was working on the O box.
Yeah, they're whatever happened to that?
I looked it up, and well, it just kind of disappeared.
Just disappeared.
I remember
That's
looking it up like a
right.
year or two ago.
I totally forgot about that.
I will
Hey,
never
did you
forget
guys-
about that.
Did you guys hear about the KFC bucket?
No.
Oh yeah, KFC's got their own console coming out called the Bucket.
I think that was a joke that they did.
No, I'm just messing with everybody.
I can believe it. I've seen that KFC gaming Twitter channel. It's kind of weird at times, but
Yeah.
Okay, I just found the best story on that posted yesterday. KFC delays chicken bucket console to match Cyberpunk 2077. Oh my god, I got to share my screen. I have to put this up, sorry.
I saw that yesterday on Twitter.
The image is priceless.
I'm sure it is. There we go.
Look at their announcement.
It's on a red.
Hi everyone. Today we've decided to move the release date of the KF console by 29 days. The new release date is December 11th. Most likely there are many emotions and questions in your head. So first and foremost, please accept our humble apologies. The biggest challenge for us right now is creating a literal console that warms chicken, which requires us to prepare and test many elements of it: graphics, connectivity, game accessibility, speed, and most importantly, the chicken chamber. While working from home, since the KF console evolved towards almost being the next-gen console somewhere along the way, we need to make sure everything works well and runs smoothly. We're aware it might seem unrealistic when someone says that 29 days can make any difference in such a creative and complex machine, but they really do. Some of you might also be wondering what those words mean in light of us saying that the KF console would be ready some time ago. Passing certification means the console is ready, can be completed, and is finger-clicking good to go. But it doesn't mean we stop working on it and raising the quality bar. On the contrary, this is the time where many improvements are being made, which will then be distributed via a day zero patch. This is the time period we undercalculated. We feel we have an amazing console on our hands and are willing to make every decision, even the hardest ones, if it ultimately leads you to getting a console you'll fall in love with. Also, we're a UK-based team, and the release date was always December 11th. So literally nothing has changed. Some of you just assumed wrong. See you in December. Yours, KFC Gaming Team. Like verbatim, paragraph for paragraph. Just absolutely
I'm glad I mentioned this today.
I'm glad you mentioned it too. Just every paragraph just nails their paragraphs. That's fantastic. Oh, yeah, anyway, Nexon did well. I will mention here, not free to play, Square Enix did not. They are down to the tune of 48 million. 65 million, depending on which time period you're looking at, whether you're looking at the time period of 6 months or 3 months for a quarter. They're way down. Not surprisingly, it's mostly pinned on the back of Marvel Avengers only selling 60 to 70% of plan. Amazing when you make a game as a service instead of a game that you then add a service to. I'm amazed. I'm amazed that it didn't work out. Last thing here, Sector's Edge. We did a first look video. We had talked about it last week on the show. The first look did go up this week. Troy Blackburn back in the first look seat. Thought this would be a nice little easy one for him to ease back in. Turns out we may have set him down a rabbit hole of which he'll never recover because he's absolutely in love with this game. This was the destructible environment voxel-based shooter that we were talking about, and I showed the destruction of the map. Well, that actually happened in a match of his where people took the entire center of the map out and an entire team just fell out of the map and all had to die and respawn. He had a blast with this. The first look is very funny. He did a great job with it, so definitely check it out. And if you're used to hearing Troy be angry at things like Bless Online or Bless Unleashed, and you want to see the flip side, definitely check out this first look. I actually kind of want to check this game out now, Jason, just based on his first look. Did it do the same for you?
I mean, it feels to me like it'd be fun for an afternoon or something, but I don't think it's something I'd be getting into like 50 hours of.
Oh, there's Sector's Edge in our chat. Welcome,
Sexter's
team.
Edge. Whoa.
Welcome, Sexters.
Oh, hello.
Sexter's Edge. Whoa, whoa,
Sector's
that's a different
Edge.
business.
Whoa.
That is a totally different
Totally
business.
different thing.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to see my voxels, baby?
That's the only fans for Sector's Edge. Such a beast does not exist. Do not sub. But I honestly, watching his video, like I didn't expect much of the game, right? It's one of those smaller teams.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of didn't hear anything about it. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh shit, this launched. It's free to play. Let's get a game page up. Let's check it out for a first look. Troy had just come back. He liked shooters. I thought this, being a smaller game, let's get him back in the saddle, Wilfredo. Get him back up to speed on making first look videos. Check out Sector's Edge. There should be no problem. Looks like a cutesy little shooter. Yeah, the environment's destructible. You go and you watch his first look, Wilfredo, and he's like, no, not only is it destructible, like I can destroy anything here. Like just not some of this is destructible. If we don't like the environment, we'll just destroy the environment. The building mechanics I thought were neat. I did not know the game had that aspect. Like I figured you could throw a block or two down to kind of mitigate being over to get over gaps or up and down when the environment has been destroyed. But he went through and was like presetting like 9 different build structures in his little base that he could then just take out. So don't think Fortnite building. That's not what's going on here. It's not going to be Wilfredo and I, whoever builds the tallest tower is going to win. That's not what's happening here. But you can pre-build like 9 little structures, and then when you're out in a match, slap those bad boys down, whether they be defensive and hunker down points, or whether they be bridge or stair type shapes so that you can traverse the broken environment mid-match. Fast-paced, time to kill is really quick, but it suits the game. Honestly, I've got to say, I was much more impressed than I thought I was going to be going into the first look video. Jason, kind of really didn't do much for you. Wilfredo, you've got both sides of the spectrum now. One of us was just like, looks fun. Maybe I'll give it a whirl. Maybe I won't. I'm on the side of, I got to try this now that I've seen the first look and talked to Troy about the game and did some write-ups for it. Where do you fall?
Luckily, Troy is actually in the chat, so this is going to be great.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, right, right
Yeah, there he is, the noob fridge.
I loved his first look, so I went ahead and downloaded the game. And it's so crazy on how much you can actually do in this game when it comes to destruction and just getting things where you need them. It's cool because you can build these structures, or you can, like, if you have certain blocks, you want to flip them a certain way so you can create your bridge or whatever, and just drop them in the middle of a firefight. It's awesome. And to watch all of this destructible environment just go to pieces when you're just trying to get to, your next beacon. This is Minecraft. I hate most first-person shooters. This is by Reese's Peanut Butter Cup of video games. I hate chocolate. I hate peanut butter. I love Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. This game is awesome. I absolutely love this game. And I shouldn't, but I do.
It is very endearing. And, like, it's limited right now. It's to the one match type and things like that. But these types of games, presumably, there'll be more modes and things. There are multiple maps, so you do have a few different locations to go play at. But it is still just the one, capture the point spawn as they spawn game mode. And there is a slight cash up in it. I'll let you check out the first look to go through that. Nothing egregious in there. Or anything that sparks concern as far as pay to win. So you're in good hands, at least so far, because the game still has some development life to go through still. So maybe things will change, and Troy does point that out in the first look that this is how things stand right now. He's super positive on it, and I remember we showed the trailer on last week's show where they had the big center of the kind of dome map fall out. And and I'm like, that's cute, that's really cute in a trailer. But that the planning to actually do that in a match, Jason, that would never actually happen. But it is cute that they showed it. Troy's first look starts right off the bat with that similar scenario. It's the underside of that dome rather than the entire thing. entire portion of that map being blown out by the opponents and like 4 of his teammates just falling to their death as the entire center falls out. So it wasn't just trailer goodness in that case. It proven it happens in game too.
Yeah, and I would like to note too that Sector's Edge currently has about half the players of Marvel's Avengers, which says more about Avengers, I think, than anything.
So, yeah, definitely check out the first look video, and then you obviously can head to mmobomb.com and get your download links. It's definitely one to watch. I don't think it's going to be mega huge or anything, but damn it if it doesn't look like there's a little bit of fun to be had there for no cost, except maybe throwing them a couple of bucks now and then to support the development. So kudos to the Sector's Edge team. You're off to a really great start. We're watching you. And we wish you luck with all the development. Thank you for stopping by and chat, by the way. I didn't say those nice things just because you were here. I started saying them before I knew you were here. And that's Jason gave you the bad side of things. He doesn't care.
Hey, I'm mean to everybody. I don't care if
but
you're
don't feel
chattering
bad.
out.
Don't feel
piss
bad.
on you.
He's
Yeah,
mean to everybody. Let's slide over and do the weekly bombs. Oh, my. Jason, you can go first.
All right. Well, when we were in chat like yesterday, you said, we're not going to cover the Hearthstone new progression thing.
Only because we covered it substantially prior to launch.
It's like if you want to mention it, go ahead and give it a bomb or something like that. And I was like I'm thinking like, yeah, I probably won't though because it's just whatever. I'll check it out tonight, but whatever. So now I'm giving it a bomb anyway because I did check it out and I liked what little bit I saw of it. I spent about like 10-15 minutes just looking through my progression stuff and seeing all the different stuff I'd unlocked, whatever. Very much more intricate, very much more modern style of progression system that I'm still kind of chewing through and still liking and still finding stuff out about. So I like how they've done that. And I also tried out the new mode, Arenas, which is the kind of combination of like a dungeon run and an arena run. So you got sort of, you play PvP, but you also get to pick your deck a little bit as you go along. So try to match with that, won 3 games. So felt pretty good about that too. So yeah, I think it's a very positive patch and the sort of thing. Like you said, maybe Hearthstone needed this like 2 or 3 years ago, but
yeah,
here it is, and we'll see if they can recover some of their lost momentum with this and the expansion coming out next week.
Wilfredo.
I'm definitely giving a dub bomb to Sector's Edge because I didn't think I wanted this game in my life, but now I kind of want to play this game. And to answer Old Glory's question, give me about 6 hours. I'll get my first kill.
I sincerely hope in this game you get it a lot faster. The time to kill is very quick.
It is.
You're going to die a lot. You're going to kill a lot. That's the point. I'm going to give a dub bomb to the latest round of charity live streams this last week or so that saw, companies like ArenaNet, Guild Wars 2 raising $65,000 and a bunch of other companies for various relief efforts. EVE players donating $135,000 through their Plex for Good campaign that's it's about to cross the $750,000 mark for the lifetime of that program. This time it was for specifically COVID-19 relief. So a dub bomb to all of those streamers and companies that participated in those. Lots of money raised for great causes. And we're going to go to the viewer bombs, but just a reminder here for you viewers. This is a graphic sent in to us by a viewer. Much appreciated. A dub bomb is something good. It's old American slang nobody uses anymore. So that is da bomb. An A-bomb, like an atomic bomb, is something bad. So that's the rules, chat. We got
need
a bunch,
to upgrade that
we got a
law
bunch
breaker
coming in
thing.
chat here.
You need to put Bless on there instead.
Yeah. Troy giving a dub bomb to Sector's Edge. Fan wanting to give a 2077 bomb for KFC Gaming Team. The delay of the KF console is golden. Ninja Panda is giving a bomb to how beautiful Godfall looks and to finding out Jerry is still alive. Yeah, the mouse in my house is still alive. And an A-bomb to my Nana. Yeah, you have to watch Ready Check Radio stream last night for that whole story. I'm not telling it here. Pattern is typing this. Barely. What do we got? Guardian. Dub bomb to Mandalorian Episode 2, even with the internet outrage. A-bomb, Windows 10 for installing Cortana and reinstalling Edge. F off. Stojan, dub bomb to Macedonian qualification in Euro 2020. Holy hell, what are you, chat, you're going nuts. Old Glory, A-Bomb to Bless Unleashed for giving me flashback to days when I had really bad internet. Combat feels so slow, more like delayed, that every ranged class gave me PTSD. And Jace DeBomb this week for getting paid on time, also for the updates in gaming. In the moment, A-Bomb for the PS5 launch. From viewers on YouTube, Yami Kami chiming in, all right, halfway through the episode, I have my A-Bomb. What the fuck? Masquerade Battle Royale? This is so far away from the target audience as bubblegum with vinegar. If they wanted to copy something popular, at least pick Among Us. A social deception would have worked great for a vampires game. 10 or more players in a city. 8 are humans, 2 are vampires. You get quests to do in the city. Some you can do alone, some you have to get help. But you don't know who's actually helpful or stabs you in the back and explains to the group you died, unfortunately, against NPCs. While this is not the groundwork for a full game, of course, it is something that I consider way more fitting for a franchise than yet another battle royale. And it is hard to disagree with that statement at all. Go ahead, Jason.
Zhao says, the bomb to Worms Rumbles. After playing the closed and open beta, I really enjoyed the arcade action, both in deathmatch and squad BR mode. A-Bomb to the many troubles people all around us are having due to the bug. I hope everyone has a safe time now near the holidays and all the way through New Year's.
Finish those up, Wilfredo.
Breckner Catalan says, let's be honest. There's not many ARPGs who still use the identify mechanics that Path of Exile uses. It's much more fun to be able to see all the loot and filter exactly what you want. There's this upcoming ARPG called Last Epic that just implemented loot filters, and they're so easy to use, even I was able to set them up. And yet, Path of Exile doesn't have that in-game. You either download a filter or you have to set one up on the site. So, yeah.
On the topic of a Vampire the Masquerade Battle Royale, we posed the question of the week to you last week. Do you want a Crisis Battle Royale or do you want a Vampire the Masquerade Battle Royale? You got to pick one. Which should win and why? Nasagra chiming in. Question of the week, it's a toss-up for me. If Crisis BR is free to play, we get a good piece of benchmarking software for free. If Vampire the Battle Royale is free to play, it's only which it is. It's only a matter of time before they start adding skins with particle effects. Then I can enjoy a big bowl of popcorn as it slowly becomes Twilight Battle Royale, ticking off fans of the series. I pick Crisis. Benchmarking software is more useful, and I'm on a diet. P.S. Before you complain about my answer, the question of the week was which would we like to have? It said nothing about having to actually play them. Nasagra getting away on a little bit of a technicality. Go ahead, Jason.
Joao again. Crisis and Far Cry BR be amazing with environment interaction. Flushing people out with Molotovs from a burning building or cutting people off with poison grenades. A BR with more sandbox feel like Crisis, along with immense verticality and those interactions would be maybe enough of a different feel to bring people. Only Crisis BR, I feel, could have something to break into the genre. Suit powers, exotic weapons from the 3 games, and maybe crazy interactions like Far Cry 2 Spreading Fires.
Fair enough. Wilfredo?
I got
Dead Joey. At least with Crisis BR, it pushed the boundaries of the visuals, so good eye candy. I really don't want to see Vampire the Masquerade squished into the dirt anymore. I agree.
Yep, you and I were both on that team last week when we talked about this, Wilfredo. Yami Kami continuing off of the bomb from above. All right, now having seen the entire episode tonight, the question of the week, and this is not a typo because they spelled week W-E-A-K. I want a Vampires the Masquerade game. Don't care about Crisis at all. I would prefer a Crisis BR game over a BR game, though. Vampire and Battle Royale just does not match. And maybe we'll all be pleasantly surprised. Again, the game itself, I kind of separate from the IP here. The game might be fun. I just don't like the way the IP is being used more than anything here. Go ahead, Jason.
Buck says, I wouldn't mind a Crisis-based BR since there's been a surprising lack of one. Personally, I prefer something like Section 8 as a BR. It just works because of the loadouts and all that.
Apparently I put this... Oh, no, I put this down here for a reason. I was like, wait a minute, this is somebody's weekly bomb, Wilfredo, but I put it down here for a reason because their A-bomb segues into their question of the week thought.
So, Tikal 2099 or 2399 says, A-bomb to Mike for not letting us pick neither in regards to the question of the week. I'm wrong. That said, question of the week, I say Crisis. If nothing else, you know it's going to look good. On top of that, the suit powers might be enough to mix up the stale-ass genre.
I wouldn't bet too much on that, but
Mm.
yeah. Farkas Marcia says, if I have to choose between a battle royale for Crisis or Vampire the Masquerade, I think I'll choose Vampire. A battle royale for Crisis seems kind of boring, just dudes in enhanced suits and guns. Vampire, on the other hand, can be interesting gameplay-wise with guns, swords, vampire abilities to screw the opposition, blood magic, etc. The main thing I don't like about battle royales is that it's a multiplayer free-for-all mode duct taped to any generic shooter. Get more creative, game industry. By the way, P.S., I'm Windshark on Twitch. What's up, Windshark? I'm pretty sure you're in chat. And if not, well, hi. Thanks. So question of the week this week, since you guys were all pretty divided on that one, I honestly thought that was going to skew more towards Crisis than it did. And it did, but I thought it was going to skew more. I thought it was going to skew more. Question of the week this week. We've been talking a lot about progression and revamping, whether it be Hearthstone, whether it be Path of Exile, whether it be the upcoming changes that they're going to make to Dauntless. So what free-to-play game would you like to see next on the let's revamp the way we do progression train? And how should they do it? Whether it be an MMORPG or a TCG, whatever free-to-play game you're playing, how should they revamp progression if you think that they should do it? Who should be next on that train? Until next week, Wilfredo, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter. I'll be saying things.
Jason?
Find me on Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming at twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there at magicman1 on Twitter. But more importantly, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so we can tweet at you all the latest news, articles, interviews, first look videos, free-to-play casts, and more. Until next week, gang, stay safe. I'll see you on the servers.